So were you able to understand that inheritance concept and then drive that use cases? Janaki, Divya, Kirba, are you able to try the use cases?
Yeah, I'm just creating it.
Okay. So you're working on which use case, Kirba?
I tried.
I'm trying watch case, like I was not there in the last call.
Okay,
So
you can take anything. That's fine. So you're trying watch. Okay.
yeah.
Sneha, I tried that, but I have given all the methods as private actually. So when I try to compile, like it throwed error, like I cannot access that
You can't
modifier
have your
template.
methods private, right? Only you can have your attributes private.
Oh, so
You
method
have your
should be
methods
always.
private if you can't invoke them outside your class. That too
Yes.
in
Even if it is
inheritance, you
extend,
can't.
also we cannot.
No, you can extend, but still your methods are private. You're not able to do anything over there.
Oh, okay. So always it should be public only when we try to invoke outside actually. Right?
Except private, it can be anything. So we learned 4 access specifiers, right? Public, which
Yeah,
is
static,
anyway,
final.
and then default is accessible only within that particular package and class. Protected can be accessed within the relationship. Like if you're having any relationship between these two classes, you can go with protected methods. Else you can't use that method if you use extend keyword. And for private, it's only within the class. You can't invoke
Yeah.
that outside your class. Go you extend.
Okay, okay.
If Janak, you have that structure, you can share your screen. We can start with yours itself.
Just randomly like three string, like 3 variables and 2 methods only I've invoked. Is it
Yeah,
okay
it should
to
be
share
fine.
it?
It's just an idea to understand how to create the inheritance classes. That's it.
Okay, can you enable the screen sharing?
Okay. So before going to that, okay, you have taken house inheritance. Okay, whenever you're trying to have a naming structure for your class, right? Have a valid name classes. Don't have as house inheritance. The invoking driver class can have such names, but the actual class which you're having, right, make it more specific, like just house or modern house, brick house, mud house, whatever house. Just make it more specific. Whenever you're trying to create your classes, your class name should be a noun. So for example, if it's a students, don't never ever create class as students. It should always be a noun and a singular. Okay. So if you're going with student, just have a just student. If you're going with house, don't create houses. Have just house.
Even the inheritance also, it's not advisable, you're saying, right?
No,
In the naming
this is
concept.
basically the blueprint of your class, right? If a person comes into picture, like you have developed this piece of code. If I'm coming and seeing this piece of code, I might not understand what is house inheritance. If it is just house, I know this is the structure of the house and those are the properties and methods. If I have it as house inheritance, what would I think is there's some other business logic created in this class. This would be my understanding. Only when I see through the code, I'll get to know this is nothing but a structure of that class. That's it.
Okay, okay.
And also your methods have to be in camel case, right? Try to follow those coding practices. So when you start developing your program, it would be more easy. So once we complete this inheritance, we'll be creating your own use cases on OOPS concept so that you shouldn't be having such kind of errors, right? So that would help you to build more specific code. Okay. So can you open the other class where you're having the inherited one? Okay, you're using extends keyword. Okay, and can you open parallelly the other class house inheritance also to just check the attributes? No, house inheritance. You have here bricks, cement, and sand. Okay, and here in the modern house, what were the attributes you added? Wardrobe, fan, light. Why did you go with these attributes? Can you define me? Because that particular house will have brick, cement, and sand. Okay, understood. But the wardrobe shelf has something interior. If you have created something interior house classes, then this would have meant so meaningful. But when it comes to house perspective, if it's a mud house, you just need, you can have something additionally on top of that, like false ceiling or the iron bricks. So maybe you can have added such kind of things, right? But these are more of like something which is inside, not a part of your construction, right?
Yeah. Yes, Sneha.
So whenever you're creating, right, where the attributes or the methods, be more generic and on the object perspective. Only then, so because this is all real-time examples, right? Whatever we see, we are just trying to build that as part of a program. So in that case, your attributes, methods, whatever has to be very realistic.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I'll correct it.
Yeah, you can correct it, no issues. Just start learning, say how you have to create your attributes. So basically this particular practice and exercise would help you to understand how to create your own attributes and methods, the meaningful name structures and classes, and how can you build a relationship between such kind of classes. This is what the exercise is all about. I don't want any kind of coding here, just to enhance that relationship and the attributes which you think out of it and the naming conventions you follow here. This is the main motto behind this particular exercise. Okay. Let me share the screen quickly and give some more context on the inheritance, and then we'll continue on the inheritance hands-on. Let me share the screen. You're able to see my screen, right?
Not yet.
If are you able to see a screen? See my screen?
No, not yet.
Not yet. Is it visible now? Yeah, I think you should be able to see. Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
So in inheritance, we learned like to use the existing or the parent attributes and the methods. We come with this concept called inheritance. And for that, the keyword which we use as part of your classes is extends. Okay. And there are multiple types of inheritance. Like the relationship we studied about has a relationship, part of, is a, kind of. That is kind of building the connection between those two classes. But there is also a structure to type of structures you can implement in inheritance. So the first one is single inheritance. So this is actually building a relationship with one parent and, let me make it more generic, one parent and one child. So such kind of inheritance comes into single inheritance. So yesterday I created mobile class, and in mobile class I had the iPhone also. So if I'm having only mobile as my parent and iPhone as my child, that is called as 1:1. So one parent and one child, and goes with single inheritance. There is something called as multiple inheritance. So here the properties which you're trying to extend are more than one parent. So it is not explicitly like one parent. You can have two parents. So it can be, I'm just making it as n parents and one child. So when you're having such kind of relationship like mother and father, child. So when you're creating such kind of relationships, the multiple is like on the same level. You have different type of classes, and all these attributes are eligible for your single child. Then we go with this called multiple inheritance. The third one is your multi-level inheritance. So what is this is all about? This is basically like for our ancestor relationship, like your grandparent, parent, and then child. So basically what you're trying to do is the same single inheritance is getting invoked, but where it was child for this particular parent will act as a parent to some other child. So it's basically a chain of single inheritance, we can say. So for example, I have it like grandparent, and then this grandparent child is parent. This particular parent can extend again to the child. So basically I'm creating a level hierarchy from grandparent, parent, and child. So you can have any number of hierarchy, not specific to 3. You can have any number of things. So basically this is like n number of levels, not single level. Whereas these two were only with one kind of relationship, only one level we were getting maintained here. So one parent and one child, or 2 parents or 5 parents and one child, or everything is on one level. But here you can have like any number of uncounted levels. So you can have grandparent, or if you want to go to the next level of grandparent, you can still have there as grandparent as your parent class. And so this 2 will come as parent child, this 2 will come as parent child, and this 2 will come as parent child. So totally there are 4 levels in our scenario. So this is called as multi-level inheritance. The fourth one is called as hierarchical inheritance. So far the situation was like we are having only one child, but the parents can be one or many. In hierarchical inheritance, it would be like one parent, but you have n number of children. So example, you're taking iPhone. iPhone is my parent. iPhone 11, 11 Pro, 11 Pro Max can be my child's. But this all fall into the family of iPhone 11. So this kind of hierarchical, this is called as hierarchical inheritance, where you'll have n number of childs, but which is getting inherited from only one parent. And the final one is hybrid inheritance, which is like a combination of any of these flows. Okay, so that is what hybrid inheritance is all about. So can someone say example of multi-level inheritance apart from the one which we discussed? Any real-time example?
Something like processor version, like Intel 5, then Intel 7, like that will come under multi-level.
Intel 5, Intel 7. Maybe in a better way, you can think in the same concept. That is considerable, but you can make it more specific in that case. Because if you're going with the processor, Core i5 and Core i3 and Core i7, basically what you're doing is from i3, i3 will be your base class. So in this scenario, this will be like i3, my parent class. And from there, I have my i5 as my child, and you're having i7. But in this case, you can inherit the properties of i3 only to i5 and i5 only to i7, but this i3 properties will not come to i7 anyway. So basically you should handle such scenarios even in i5, so that when it goes as a child to i7, then you should also have this i3 properties in my i7. So whatever you said right now can be folded into hierarchical, right? Maybe you can have like i7, and you can have your 8th gen or 5th gen or 6th gen, whatever versions, right? In that case, you can go with hierarchical inheritance. But when you're doing in a multi-level inheritance, we need to make sure that our i3 properties are inherited in i5. And so when i5 is getting inherited as a child, as a parent to my child i7, even then my i3 properties has to be present for my i7. If that is getting failed, then that doesn't come into multi-level inheritance. So your example is more appropriate, but you need to take care of such things when you're using that as a multi-level inheritance. Can someone say an example for multiple inheritance?
So
Divya?
normal parent-child, like two
Yeah,
parents
that's
and
normal
child.
parent-child. Apart from that, anything are you able to think of?
The combination of
Combination of?
paints to form a different color.
Okay. Yeah, that also works. Like when you're trying to mix two things and you're trying to give it only to one class, right? Yeah, that also works. Yeah, that also comes. And even the crops, right? They do the mixed crops, right? They take lemon and then they take a citric, what to say, sweet lime, and both these roots they combine together to get a different kind of fruit that is only a new child, that will be only for that child, not for any other things. So whatever cropping they do on mixing and cutting, right, that also you can consider under the multiple inheritance, but that is not possible to implement using class level. So out of these 5 inheritance, except this multiple inheritance, right, where you're having n number of parents, this scenario alone, you can't implement or you write your logic using your classes. For that, Java has bought something called interface. So why we can't implement through classes? So let's say my class mother, okay, and she has property like walk. And in this, I'm saying up like mother. And then I say like eat. And this my mother class gets completed. I haven't read any attributes of her, just to understand. Same thing, let's have something called father. And now when I'm creating my child, okay, I need to use the keyword extends, and I need to have my mother, comma, father. And then I need to use these properties wherever I want. So if I use like this, if I'm just giving extends mother and father, can someone like post this? Can someone try creating mother class and father class with some properties and create a child class, just extend the mother and father and execute that now, okay, after this theoretical part is done. And let's see what error we are getting there. So why we are going with this is like, whenever I'm creating in my driver class, where you have your main method, when I'm going to create an object for my child class, right? So basically this child should inherit properties from my two parents, like mother and father. So if I'm calling the object c dot walk, right? So the system gets confused now to identify whether should I take mother walk or father walk. I'm not distinguishing anything here. I'm just using the logic, whatever it's present. So like as you see, as part of syntactical way, I need to get printed MO and FO as part of when I invoke this child. But the JVM will not be able to identify such things. Why? Because the child is one object. You didn't say that this particular child is the object of my mother or it's an object of father. You're just creating a child instance, that's it, and you're just invoking the walk. So whenever you use this extends keyword, implicitly all your properties gets loaded to this child. So when it's getting loaded, both are same. So we know that if they are similar methods, only if you differentiate through some parameters, we can overload the methods in the same class. But though they are in different classes, I'm trying to invoke in particular single instance in walk as a method, but though they are in different classes, the JVM will not be able to figure out how should I go and get this particular walk. Should I need to go with mother or should I need to go with father? So it is having a confusion and your system will end up with a compile time error. So that is the reason we have got something called runtime polymorphism. Okay. So what this does is, if you are pretty sure your child is having the features of mother alone, then what I can say is my mother object will have the child object. So what I'm doing is I'm creating a relation with my mother and the child, not directly saying it as child, and invoke the properties of both. Internally, what I'm saying is my child object should follow the properties of mother. So what happens here when I invoke this m.walk, I should see only the message of mo. If the same way, if I create a father instance, okay, and if I call such instance with walk, I should get only fo. So what I'm doing is, instead of tightly coupling the particular child and then making a complex when I'm extending more than one, I'm giving a freedom such that your child can be assigned to either a mother or to a father, and post that you can have the respective object properties invoked. So this is like runtime object. So whenever you're creating an object, you're making sure that your object is falling in only one particular class. And this can be identified only on runtime. Syntactically, the syntax is correct. But when you invoke it and when you're trying to invoke the respective behavior, only then you get to know your object is getting the behavior of mother or a father. Till then, this will not know that this is behaving as a child or this is behaving as a parent. Because as per this AVM, compile time is not going to give any error. But in runtime, you're going to have a relationship between your father and child. So this is the runtime polymorphism. So we'll experiment this right now in one more use case. Can someone share screen and do that? And so this is the reason why we can't use two parent classes with the extends keyword. And to implement that, so to make this solution, right, and to solve this problem, Java has provided something called interface. So what is this interface? So interface will basically tell you what are the behaviors of that and will not tell how to do it. So it tells like, I have these properties, I have these features and everything, but if you want any logic or if you want to have any behavior with respect to that particular definition, then you can write your own logic in that scenario. So let's say we have shapes, right? Let's take rectangle, let's take triangle, and I finally go with circle. Now, if I'm writing a normal structural program with using your if conditions, switch cases and everything, right? I'm going to calculate my area here. I'm saying get area is my method, and I need to give some value for this area. So this is my method which returns me some value. Right now I'm just giving 0. So this is the method I'm having it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create class. Now I'm doing it my structural way. Let's come into the object-oriented concept little later. So whenever I'm calculating the area, what I need to first consider, what type of shape is this? Post that I need to use the respective formula to calculate the area. So what I'll consider, I'll take the parameter string shape type. Now what I will do, if my shape type is equal to rectangle, I'll write the actual area calculation here. And same way, I'll have one more if, where this will evaluate for my triangle, this will evaluate for my circle. So this is the normal Java code we write if you want to calculate a get area. But in future, instead of having only these 3 shapes, now you're getting some more thing called quadrilateral. Okay, and you need to find the area for it. So what happens? You need to go to your code and write one more if case, and you need to deploy this piece of, compile this piece of code and execute it. So whenever any new particular shape is coming into your picture, you need to build your code again and again and again. So there is a lot of changes happening for small piece of code. To avoid this, inheritance is making your code more reusable. How? So now what I'll do is, I'll have that. So class shape. And here I'll have the attributes which I need for calculating my area. Okay, so I'm just having int height, int width, and then I'm having the methods called get area, and if you want get perimeter. Okay, I'm just giving these two methods as part of my shape. Now these are the common attributes. Now for my class rectangle, I'm going to extend my shape class. And here what happens, the default behavior which you have given as part of shape will work. But for validating this get area method, I need the values, right? So I'm having these two methods. So whenever I need a logic, so for rectangle, what would be the area formula? Can someone say quickly?
Length into breadth.
So written length into breadth. So I'll write a logic for rectangle in rectangle class. Okay. And now when I'm going for my another class, triangle. Can someone say the formula for this?
I think it is half
Half
BH.
into B into.
Half into BH.
Yeah.
So instead of writing my logic in this if condition, categorizing on the shape type, I am creating that particular shape as a class. And in that class, I'm having a get area method. Now, again, this is again a overloaded thing. What I'm doing, every time in rectangle, I'm writing a get area method, I'm writing its own logic. Every time in triangle, I'm writing an area method, I'm writing the logic. But initial shape class should have some logic, right? I can't just have it as a declaration with semicolon. I need to have some logic here. Only then when I override, when I use this extends keyword, and if I use this particular logic here, what happens, instead of having the logic present here, logic in my base class, what I'll do, I'll override with something called override annotation. What I'm doing is, whenever the rectangle class is getting invoked, use this logic and not the base class logic. So I'm overriding the rectangle related information. This is also kind of overriding, like you're maintaining some logic in your base class, and whenever you're having the respective type, you're again writing a logic. To avoid this number of lines of code, what the interface has giving us a advantage is, the interface structure looks like just with the keyword interface, and my similar to class, you will have your interface name. And here, you don't need to write any business logic as you write in your base class. You just need to tell what are the features of this shape class. So it helps you to find the area. It helps you to find your perimeter, and that's it. This is the basic I need to have as part of my shape class. Now, when I'm trying to use the same thing, right, as rectangle class, what I'll do is, instead of extends, I'll use implements, where I'm going to write my own logic. So that is the reason I'm using keyword implements, this particular interface. Now, whatever methods you have as part of your interface will not have any business logic. You need to write explicitly for your class. In that case, what happens? In your get area, this would be your logic. And you also need to override your get perimeter. Why? Because this particular interface will have a common properties, like common for everything, where you don't have any logic. Unless you need to, whenever you're using this interface in your classes, unless you create an object for rectangle, it should, though you use your get area and get perimeter, that is not the problem, but you need to have some kind of structure of overriding with a definition structure, not like a declaration. So though you don't write anything inside, it's not a problem, but you need to have that structure defined in the respective class if you are implementing the respective interface. So what happens, the basic thing is, instead of writing my structural programming and making my code heavy, I'm coming with my inheritance. Even in inheritance, I need to have my some basic logic. So whenever I override, if this particular class doesn't have this logic, so instead, if suppose I'm not overriding here, right? If I'm not overriding here, what happens whenever I create rectangle object, and if I call get area, since this is not overridden, I'll be using the logic which is present in my base class. So this will not work for your this scenario, the shape scenario, but this might work in some other scenarios where you are okay to go with this scenario where you still use your base logic. Whereas in this scenario, you need to override the rectangle logic, else your calculation will go wrong. So that is the reason interface has brought, like, if you're having multiple interfaces, multiple classes where this particular rectangle should implement. Right now, I'm just implementing the shape area. Now let's have one more interface, shape color. Okay. So based on the shape color, like basically, like if it's rectangle, I'm going to have a color of red. If it's a triangle, I'm going to have a color of blue. So if I'm having something based on my shape type again, so what I'm going to do is fill color. So I'll have one more interface. So what I can do in the same rectangle class, I can still implement one more interface called shape color. And here what happens, the shape color method fill color has to be overridden with the respective logic, where I'll be filling this color with red if it is in the rectangle. Same way, if I'm going to have this on some other class like triangle, some other class like circle, I can still have this shape color. So basically, the multiple inheritance concept cannot be achieved through classes, but can be achieved through interface, where you have to write your own business logic by overriding the declaration. Like you're basically writing your own method definition based on the each type. So now you are able to understand the difference between the structural programming and the object-oriented programming. And with that, we went with the concept of inheritance. So any doubts so far here?
In interface, we don't define, right? We just declare and then.
Yeah, we just tell what it does. We don't say how it does. That is defined in the class where you implement it.
And in interface, we just have methods and no attributes.
You can have your variables also.
Variables. Okay.
Yeah, you can have your variables also.
And when we implement that interface, then we should make use of the same variable again.
Yeah, exactly. So basically, what we're trying to do is, whatever parent class has, the child should have it, but the logic part, the behavior part alone should change, right? Only then we go with this inheritance concept. So if you want to have your own logic for your child, you can still override in your inheritance also. So in this case, in the child, I'm giving extends mother and father. I didn't do anything here. Say now if I have a method called walk, from here I'm giving like SOP child walk. And here what I'm doing, I'm overriding the behavior of both mother and father and child. So when I call the respective child call and walk, I'll get only this child. If you don't invoke this one, right, without father, you'll get only child. If I create the object with respect to mother and see what is walk is behaving, it will give you the print of mother. So we'll see all these combinations now in the hands-on part. So basically, the inheritance is something we are using to extend your behavior. And then when you have more than one class as your parent, which can't be implemented through your inheritance, can be achieved through the interface. So only thing is class and interface are more or similar. In class, you'll write your logic. In interface, you'll tell like, what is that method? Only the name. We don't say the logic. We use that logic when wherever you define or use that interface. Now, let's see this just a pictorial way so that you will be able to understand the difference of what I'm saying for single inheritance. So if you see here, this single inheritance in Java is like only one parent and one child. And if you go with multiple inheritance, you'll have two parents and which is having the properties of both in my single child, which is not achievable through your classes, but can be achievable through interfaces. The next one is your multi-level, where you'll have a hierarchy. So basically, if your grandparent and here you have as a parent, then the parent will be an intermediate class for my child. So grandparent, parent, and child. So you can have the attributes and the behavior as you wanted and where you wanted. The final, the hierarchical inheritance is you will have multiple childs, but you have only one parent class. So iPhone 11, Pro, and Max. So basically, common features will be in iPhone 11. And as per your iPhone Pro Max, all your with related information, everything gets changed when you have it implemented in your child classes. And finally, the hybrid one would be a combination of everything. So can someone say what is the relationship here in A, C, D?
Multi-level.
Okay. A, B, C?
Single parent, two child.
What?
Like ABC is a single parent, two child, right? I forgot the
No, can you
multiple.
come again? I didn't get you.
You asked for ABC, right?
Yeah.
So it's a single parent, two child.
No.
So now,
If you have more than one child, we have a type called hierarchical hierarchy. So let's see. So here you always have one parent, but you can have n number of children. So when you went through A, B, C, you have single parent and you are having two child. So now if you come to B, C, D, you have two parent and D as one child. That is multiple inheritance, which is not possible through classes. We go with interface.
Sneha, this runtime polymorphism we get only in multiple inheritance.
No. In inheritance, you can achieve the runtime polymorphism. We'll be seeing that example in a while.
And whatever the declaration we do in that interface class, that interface class name, that should be defined in the child class, right? Like all, if you have 3 or 4, all the 4 should have definition.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, if you have the behavior of walk, eat, sleep, and repeat, then you need to have override all the 4 methods in your child class. You can't just override one and you can't leave the other one. So we'll see those examples now. So